Go.
All right, all right, all
All
right.
right, all right, all right. Can we see all three of us? Yes, we can.
Whoop, whoop.
All right. Happy Friday. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me tonight for Flow Friday. I am your host, Nicole Roan, the capacity coach, and in honor of it being Financial Literacy Awareness and Stress Management Month, I thought that it would be just phenomenal to have both of you on because we did some really great podcasts together. Now, Gail, I know I had you on as part of the Women Making History about financial confidence.
Yes,
And then,
ma'am.
Rhonda, I had you on this week talking about stress and money management and doing a money makeover. And so I would love it if both of you could just take a minute, tell us a little bit about you, how you ended up in this space, kind of your money story, and then we'll start to just talk about how we manage our stress and our money. So I'm gonna go in order of who I see to I think yes, it's my left, right. So Coach Rhonda, I'll have you go ahead and go first and we'll go from there.
All right, all right, all right. So I am Coach Rhonda, your limitless possibility coach. And man, my money story, it's a couple of them, but I'll just give you a snippet of one. But the biggest, probably the most pivotal moment was I had taken this big leap of faith. I had left my good government job after almost 15 years to go full time in real estate. Yes. And I was balling for about a year and a half. And the market crashed on top of me. And I had to rebuild myself from the ground up. And so it was in real estate where I discovered my passion to educate people. People were buying this, this house, this one of the biggest financial transactions they were getting into in their life, and they didn't understand it. And it really bothered me. So I found that passion to educate people through real estate. I lost it all through real estate. I rebuilt, and I really got the passion to really help people manage money and maximize it. So that's me. Yeah.
Unmute. Thank you for sharing that. And I think it's important because I know a lot of the listeners and viewers and people and clients that I work with are women who are either working a full-time job with a side hustle or have gone full-blown into entrepreneurship. And so to hear you talk a little bit about that is helpful because it lets me first and foremost remind me that I'm not alone on this entrepreneur journey and that you can kind of bounce back when all hell breaks loose or things hit the fan. So thank you for sharing that story. And I'm going to pass it on over to Miss Gail Rice.
Well, I collide with real estate a little bit, but really, I went off to college. I was doing all the things I was supposed to do. And after being there for about 3 years, I started to have all these thoughts of why am I here? So I was one of the people who probably should have waited a little while or stayed at home. And I went through a transition period of trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And in that time, I ended up in a position where I was severely underpaid. And I didn't have that much to manage. And the way I was choosing to manage what I had landed me in a position where my bank account was so overdrawn that even my next paycheck wasn't about to dig me out the hole. Now, our coach Patrice has that crying on the bathroom floor moment where she said God spoke to her. I was crying on the bathroom floor and wasn't nobody talking to me but my coworkers. I was working in the mall and they were like, girl, like whatever you're going through can't be that serious that you're in this department store bathroom crying like this. And so I had to have a line in the sand moment where I decided I got to get this money thing together right now. I went through Dave Ramsey's program. I was just taking in every little thing I could. I think back then Susie Orman came out with money tips for the young, broke, and fabulous. Anything about finance, I was into it. And once I was able to turn my own situation around, coming from like a 520 credit score, getting it above 700, I made it my mission to pass that information on to anybody who would listen. Anybody who would listen. And I was able to get a job with a nonprofit here in Atlanta where we did credit and money services for the community. And it was my first time having the chance to be paid to do what I knew the calling of my life was. And in that, since it was a nonprofit, I was wondering, like, how much they're gonna pay me. You know, the big thing about nonprofit is, you know, they don't pay that well. And so I started to Google cyber stalk the people who work there, and I came across this shiny, happy lady who looked like she was just doing great for herself. She was known as the all cash queen, but now she is your limitless possibilities coach. So she's been my purpose sister in this finance thing ever since.
And it's funny, I didn't even realize how connected you two were prior to us getting on. And so I love it. And both of you guys really being able to speak on different parts, because yes, I was laughing when you said that you were having your line in the sand moment at the mall, because I know
not cry. Ugly to not cry.
Ugly to not cry. But so many of us are having that, right? Whether it's at the mall or, you know, on the bathroom floor. For me, it was like, it used to be on the way to go pay rent. Like, I don't know if this check gonna bounce, right? Like, I wasn't managing well the things that I had. And so I would love for you guys to kind of take turns and talk a little bit about what is one of the first things, I guess, that you teach your clients, or the most common thing that comes up for you as you're working with the clients in your spaces? So I won't choose who goes first. Y'all can volunteer. And then while y'all decide, I'll say hi to everybody that's recently joined. We are, you know, just really getting started. Say hello in the chat. Tell us where you're from. If you have questions along the way, don't hesitate to drop those in, because you have such valuable resources here as we talk about how to manage your stress and your money. So, which one of you beautiful ladies decided who's going to go first?
I'll let the young people go first.
No, you didn't.
No, she didn't.
Okay, so you said the first thing that we get into?
Yeah, either the first thing, or what's one of the most common things that come up as you start to coach in the money space for the people that you work with?
Yeah. I think back in the day, the first thing we used to do was pull somebody's credit report and start going through it. And the first question that people usually ask me is, how long did it take you to come from the 520 to above 700? And so it's kind of evolved from a let's jump in, pull their credit report and start going through accounts, to let me learn a little bit about you. Because everything that we talk about through this coaching process, every decision is going to be made by you, and everything is going to be about how you feel about your money and yourself. And so it's really getting to know the person so that we can really understand where they feel they are, where they feel they would like to be, and then help to develop some systems that work for them. I used to say, oh, this is what works for me. Let me show you how to do it. But now it's like, let's try to find a system that works for you to help you get yourself to this space, because I'm here to walk along with you. I can't fix it for you.
Right. And I'll piggyback on that. Definitely starting with the person first. I'll say motivation and value. But that's, that's that same conversation, asking the person, what's important about making this change now?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a little bit, what is your background? Because, we always say personal finance is 80% behavior, 20% information. So best budgets in the world, you can Google all the stuff. But if we haven't navigated ourselves, if we haven't factored in our background, our upbringing, then, it kind of matters not. So you especially need people to connect with their motivations when there's a long road to travel, right? We need to know, why is this? We need to be really dug in and know, why is this important? Because there are going to be hills, there are going to be valleys, there are going to be scary places on this journey, and stressful places. And so for you to be really connected with why you're doing what you're doing, right? Why it matters is a crucial first step.
I don't know why I'm struggling with this unmute today, ladies, because it's been a week a little bit. So no, both of those are really great perspectives and places to start. And Gail, I identified a lot with what you said in terms of the first thing was, hey, let me pull your credit report. And too often what I'm finding, or I used to find, was, hey, yes, this is what worked for me, but it hasn't been a you-centered approach. Like, let's talk about some different options versus just, hey, try this, and try that, and, take 2 of these, call me in the morning and let me know how it works sort of approach. Right. And the fact that you are helping to look at the whole person, look at the different, scenarios and situations is ideal, especially in a coaching space, because what I often have seen is that people think that there's this one size fits all approach, and that is not the case. And so thank you for putting that out there. And hey, Denise, Gail's mommy.
Hey, Mom.
And hey, Latika from Maryland. Everybody, don't be shy. Tell us where else you're from. Thank you for joining us tonight. And then Coach Rhonda, yes, like really sitting back and thinking about the why. I know you and I talked a lot about the motivational pieces and why is it that you, whether you want to have $10,000 in your bank account or why do you want to pay all cash for your house, that why is going to drive a lot of the different behaviors, a lot of the decisions, a lot of the everyday little, thoughts and processes that come up along the way. So thank you both for sharing that, because I know cash flow is something that's it can be taboo, especially in our kinds of communities, right? I know I didn't learn a whole lot about money. I learned that we didn't have money, right? And then learning how to manage through that as I got older. And so I would like to ask also, hey, Samantha, y'all know I got like attention deficit. I see folks and I jump to there, so bear with me. I would like to know, as you're coaching, what else or what kinds of things, what kind of mindsets have you guys had to help your clients shift? Because that could be a whole episode in and of itself. Yeah. When you're thinking about, whether you don't have enough money or you feel like you don't have enough money or you don't know where to start and just the stress of managing your money is weighing on you. Talk to me a little bit about some of the mindset shifts or things that come up when you're working with your clients.
I'll jump in there first this time.
Well, thank you, Coach Rhonda.
Like you said, mindset is everything, is the first thing. And what I like to say first is we throw the word mindset around like all the time, right? Like it's a little bit overused, but do we really know what that is? Mindset is your behavior. It feeds from your upbringing. It feeds from your fears. It feeds from your doubt. It feeds from your experiencing. Like mindset is so multifaceted, right? So something you experience could lead to a certain fear, and that's going to show how you're going to behave around a certain topic. So taking the time to have those conversations around how do you feel about money, right? Sometimes when I would talk about the B word, the budget, I ask people, when you think about a budget, what comes up? And people are like, it's restrictive, it's what I can't do, it sucks, it's this, is that. And and the thing is to say, well, however you think about it, it's how it's going to go for you. If you feel like it sucked and they don't work, then it's going to suck and it's not going to work for you. So finding a way to shift that, your attitude around it more towards your why, right? To get to start this journey out is huge. But we definitely have to dig out mindset and have an understanding that it's not just a 7-letter word. It's so many dimensions to it. And again, it feeds in from so many different avenues. So shifting that and really being conscious that it is a thing, even as you walk forward, right? I have a girlfriend who, she said that she overheard her child saying to her friend, maybe they were like 12 or 13 at the time, on the phone saying, oh, we can't go bowling because we're broke. And it's because my friend, had been saying that so often, like, we're not doing that, we're broke. We're not doing that, we're broke, right? And so words, actions, behaviors, right? it's all, so the child took on the mindset that we're broke, we can't do anything. So it's a huge piece.
We are right on the same brainwave tonight. So I was going to say, I got a new perspective on this since becoming a mom. Because my baby, he's going to turn 3 next week.
Oh.
And he's already just a little man. Think about all the personality that is there and all the little pieces that he's been collecting even before he was able to verbalize a thing to me. And he's just been absorbing everything for every moment of his life at 3. So then when I sit across from a 30, 40-year-old woman, think about all the different pieces that she's been collecting from the day that she was born. I always say, whether you do it intentionally or not, you are teaching the young people around you about money. So you better make up your mind to do it intentionally. And so it really brings to mind an interview with Oprah and India Arie. And when India Arie was a younger artist, and Oprah was talking to her about her goals, and India was talking about the amount of money she felt like she needed to have in her bank account for her to consider herself successful. And I feel like it was $200,000. I could be wrong on that, but the key thing was that amount, number one, came from something that her mother always said to her. And her mother was saying it to her because her father was a successful man who had a lot of money and spent it all. And the mother felt that he didn't have anything to show for it. So whatever it was that the father went throughout his life to give him the way that he thought about money and the way the mother was raised, or what she experienced with money, was pouring into her and affecting what she laid out for herself to define what was successful with money. So when you're going to coach someone on this, you have to be able to dig deep and help them kind of sort through all those little pieces that have just been poured in there, pushed down, shaken up. We got to work through it, because otherwise me just, sending you an email, here's your budget. Okay, great. But now what?
Totally.
Yeah, it's more to it than just the budget, the spreadsheet, right? And like Emily said, they hate the B word. Nobody want a budget.
A bad word.
It is a horrible word. And so I'm gathering again from both of what you guys are saying is that the mindset piece is critical, and really being able to dig deep, to tap into what have you heard about money? What are you saying about money? And that whole story about what you said, Rhonda, with the, hey, we're broke. I remember hearing my daughter say that one day, and I was like, why is she saying? I'm like, why would you tell somebody that? She's like, well, I heard you say it all the time. And so I had to be intentional about what I was saying. And even now with the little one, even though I got Chef Ron here, shout out to Chef Ron. We love and appreciate all that you do in the cooking field. We often would go, I would like to grab stuff along the way for Liam, and he's a fast food junkie, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, he likes all of it. And so one day we were driving and he's like, hey, can we get McDonald's? I'm like, no, we're not getting McDonald's. We have food at home. He was like, why? Because we don't have any money. No, that's not why. It's because it's not healthy to eat McDonald's all of the time. And so really trying to pick up where is he hearing that from too. So it's really important, and sometimes tough to be super intentional. You have to really be aware. And so many of us sometimes have these underlying things, like you said, Gail, your son is about to be 3, right? And hearing what has he been hearing, what's been being poured into him over these 3 years, because I don't know if you guys have ever heard this, but it's like you are who you are by the time you're in kindergarten, or by the time you reach that, like you've learned everything to become the person that you're going to become. So if we are pouring into our children and the people around us that we're broke, or we can't, money's too tight to mention, that's a favorite that I've heard a lot, then how do we get through that when we're older, when we realize we have these different beliefs? How do we start to, once we've dug them up and we got them on the surface, what do we do next to get rid of them or unlearn these sort of behaviors so that we can, have a better relationship with money? She gonna keep volunteering you.
I feel like it's something that takes time. So anybody listening who's ready to embark on this journey, be willing to give yourself time and grace. Be willing to evaluate and reevaluate again. Know you have permission to change your mind. Mm-hmm. You could be dead set thinking one thing today. It's okay for you to change your mind even by the end of this conversation that the three of us have. Mm-hmm. I told a story on my Instagram today. I think it dropped about an older woman that I met when I was working at that nonprofit. And she came in and she had all her papers and folders and things. And she thought she was going to dump all the papers out on the desk. And I was just going to sort through them and, wave a magic wand and make them better. It turned into meeting after meeting of us talking about what was happening with how her siblings were feeling about her because of her relationship with money, how it affected her marriage. It's not a thing where you can meet usually with somebody one time and think the whole thing's going to be fixed. So as much as you're willing to be authentic and, true to yourself about what you're feeling, and able to take the time to circle back and know that you can choose to think something different today. Those are really some of the processes that we have to walk through.
Absolutely. Definitely. Once you become, the awareness is the first piece, I think. Mm-hmm. Once you can see where there's kind of, I call it like, it's kind of a hook to me. So I remember working with a young lady and we were looking around the budget and she saw she was overspending in the food area. I use air quotes because she said it. It wasn't me saying it. And so when we did a little coaching, like Gail said, when you peel the layers back, she had been raised by her grandmother who put a lock on the refrigerator at night, right? And so she was not putting a limit on her kids in terms of food because she had unconsciously gone through that literally, and unconsciously she kind of made a decision as a child that nobody's going to limit me on food. Like, this is crazy, right? And then when we talk further, her grandmother was raised in the Great Depression, right? So again, different things form. And so in that moment, when she saw the connection, she had a choice. Does this work for me anymore, right? So she knew she was overspending, but she couldn't really stop herself. Once she saw the connection, she had a choice to see, I see where I got that from. It is within my power to try to unhook myself, right, from this kind of experience and try to do differently. So again, I feel like the awareness is huge. Once we can kind of see where these things come from, we have the choice or the power to try to shift it a little bit. And I'll say baby steps, always giving yourself grace, always understanding that life is an experiment. I mean, there's not a one size, you said no cookie cutter approach here. And if there's an area where you're kind of struggling around, I always say, look there. Sometimes if there's an area you just can't get over yourself or get around yourself, more than likely, 9 times out of 10, there's some limiting belief, some experience that has you kind of stuck in that moment. That's always kind of a good place to look. And that's where I came up with the limitless possibility thing, because if we could just relax a little, take a step back, maybe look over here, look this way, lift it up. We could find a way around pretty much anything if we could just get so unattached to this one idea, this one path that we feel like things have to go.
You trying to say I never had to have my life figured out by 30?
No.
You sure? So we can sit back, relax, and like assess, right? Like we can figure it out versus just jump into the next thing to the next thing.
And I
God.
mean, don't get me wrong, we all do it, right? So this takes practice. I mean, put stickies up, set an alarm. When you feel yourself flipping out, you're like, oh wait. Cause I mean, I call them, say, okay, I'm feeling kind of wonky here. What is happening with you, Rhonda? You know. So because I've done it for a while, I can sit myself down, but just kind of being aware that this is a whole thing that happens to people could, help you kind of get in that mode more. So, hey, maybe I need to check myself out here. But yeah.
Yeah, I love that you say that it's not just the money, right? It's what's going on emotionally, what's going on mentally, physically, all of those different things. And too often we separate the two, right? Mm-hmm. And I want to go back to a comment that I had up that Samantha posted, because a lot of it, this is another sort of limiting belief. I'll put it back up. Mm-hmm. So she said that growing up, they didn't have much money. And so when she saw a large amount in her account, she would worry about losing it or would overspend because she didn't think she should have it. Now, if you can relate to that, somebody put me in the chat, because I know firsthand, I used to feel like this money is burning a hole in my pocket, right? Mm-hmm. I'm so used to just, I was used to not seeing so much in my bank account, and I wanted to buy all the stuff that I never had or get my kids the stuff that they never had, that I started making these purchases based off these emotional pieces. Mm-hmm. So again, how do we combat things like this when I know we're saying that the awareness is key, but what kind of tip can we give for those of us who may still be struggling with, having money burn a hole in our pockets?
Right. So, I mean, you may have to just put different little things in place. If you know that money burns a hole, you might have to move it to an online account. You may, let it, especially like a savings, let it automatic draft to an online savings account that requires you to take 1.3 more steps than you would than just transferring it over. Like, you have to put things in place. When you get to know yourself, I do money, but that don't mean I'm just all the way fabulous with money, right? I do different things, because like my example is, I don't do it as much anymore, but I would split a lot of different bills. I even used to split my hair budget, right? And so I would take a portion out of one check, and I would take it out of the bank. This has been a while, right? Put it on my dresser, and then I would get the next portion, and then I would do hair. Well, if I didn't do that, I'm better now. Then that money will sit in the account. It would get eaten up by something else. If I didn't physically remove it out of the account, it would get ate up. And guess what? She's still getting her hair done. Okay? Please believe it. So that means she's overspending. Okay? So if you get to know yourself, little things like I give some people activities by looking at their bank accounts, kind of looking back. And so I discovered that I get bored with food about every 10 to 15 days, which means that I'll be cooking at home and I'll be eating and I'll be counting carbs and doing all the good stuff and things. And then I'll be bored, and you'll see Chick-fil-A. You'll see Publix. You used to see Wendy's. I don't eat Wendy's as much anymore. But you'll start to see me eating out because I get bored. So it wasn't about the money. I just get bored with food. I got bored eating at home. So I know that. Like even this week, I was like, ooh, she getting bored. I'm feeling it. So I need to now go and find some recipes to get me through the next week, because otherwise I'm gonna want to go and eat out because I'm bored with what I'm doing at home. So when you become aware, you can put different little things in place to kind of get around yourself.
I like that. And what I heard you say too is know your triggers, right? Like if you know you get bored with the food, kind of doing things ahead of time, switching it up and planning for that.
Right.
And I love that you said also to physically remove it from your account, because there was a time where I could not save to save my life. Same thing, right? I knew the money was in there, but because it was in there, I'm like, oh, I got it. Let me just go ahead and spend it on this and spend it on that.
Right. Pinch off, right.
Right. And so a couple of years ago, I set up an online savings account so that I could set it and forget it. I did not accept the debit card. It takes a whole lot if I need to for me to just, access that money. And it's specifically for whether it's business. I got a couple different accounts that are labeled like this is the vacation fund. I had a concert fund pre-COVID because I love live music. But really just putting the money, taking it out of that account that you use for your everyday. So I love that. And Gail, I think you were about to say something, so I'll pause my mouth.
Oh, two things. So one, Sam, that I feel like that's the perfect real life example of it's truly not about the money. Because you have money, so it's not that you don't have it, but yet the scarcity mindset is still, first and foremost, like you're operating from that place.
Right.
And it's super common, super common. So developing routines that work for you to help you stay on track. With me, when I had to get things in order, I had a list of everything that had to be paid for each pay period. And I swear I wake up on payday, my feet would hit the floor. I'd go over to my laptop and open it up and pay all those bills because I know I am messing up my bill money if the bills are already paid. That was my way of navigating myself. So that if I needed to make a decision on the fly to go to lunch with my sister or something like that, I can do it knowing that I'm spending money that's truly there to be spent. Today, that looks more like having pocket money designated for myself that I put on my cash card. I mean, it's real easy to see what the cash card balance is. And if you don't have enough, that thing ain't going through. So I use that. And I, told the story of just being so stringent around managing my money that I didn't let myself have anything. And so I had to get to a place where I felt comfortable spending money again. And, doing something like moving it to your cash card or having a separate checking account just for fun might help you to get comfortable trusting yourself with spending money.
Yeah. And then I'll piggyback on that for a second. Mental accounting, I think they call it. You're mentioning it too, right? But it is a real textbook thing. And so labeling money certain things so that you know that that's what it is. So you're usually less prone to kind of dip into it if it's all just swimming up in there. And you just kind of have it in your head that, some of that's for vacation, some of that's for this, and some of that's. But if you either take it out or have it in an account that says vacation account, like my bank, I can go and name my accounts different things. So I have an account that says pay off car early, right? Vacation or fun stuff just for me. So that way, because I had a problem spending, like you're saying, Gail, I was so used to just saving that I didn't even want to spend it. I had to take it and make it separate. Like, okay, this is for spending for vacation, right? So either if you're having problems spending or you're having problems spending it for something else, really naming it something so that mentally you connect. This money is for this purpose.
Yeah, I literally in my regular account it's labeled bills. Yes, I love Destiny's Child. So and Lanisha says she has a lot of accounts with nicknames and a purpose. So I love that we're given that, because I know a while ago I didn't know how to do that. It was all in one place, right? And so I was dipping and using it for everything, but just the mental capacity that it clears up, and that it has cleared up for me and even the clients that I work with. it makes a world of difference. So it gives you room to really think about and get in touch with some of those limiting beliefs that you may have once you're not so focused on pulling it all from one pot, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I got one called Building Fund, just like your church do.
I love you.
I stick money over there because I have little projects I want to do around the house. And then I know, I'm not messing anything up by pulling money from there. It was placed there intentionally, right? We had a separate savings account called the Flex account because my husband is an entrepreneur. And I get real anxious about touching the actual emergency fund. So we got to have a separate intermediate emergency fund where his business brings in more in 1 month, we stash a little bit to the side so that if there's a lighter month down the road, since he does music lessons. So over the summer, a lot of families are going on vacation, lessons get canceled. And it's real easy for the money to be a little lighter, but we can just pull it from that Flex account, transfer it into the checking. We're not touching like the emergency fund, so I don't have to feel all those feelings about it. But I say get as many little accounts as you can without overcomplicating it, and do what you got to do to make yourself feel good about it.
Right.
Yep. I'm loving all these accounts, y'all. The building fund, yes, it was the building fund for me too, Latika. And Emily says she has a haircut fund. Okay, come on, curly girls.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I want to jump into managing our stress when it comes to money, because I posted something earlier this week that said, 73% of Americans feel as though money is the number one stressor for them. And so if both of you could maybe give a tip or two on how to manage the stress that comes with managing the finances, because like we've talked about, it's not just the money, it's so much more. It's, the behaviors that you have, the reasons, the why, the motivations behind managing your money. So if there's anything that you guys can share in terms of how to really manage the stress when it comes to managing money, I think that would be helpful.
I would say think about the root of the issue. Like if the stress is presenting itself in your marriage around the money, is it coming from just not talking about it? Like if you schedule a money meeting with your partner, significant other, is that something that could help? Is it that you feel like you're the only one watching the money? Is it that you want to control things a lot more than the other person does, and so you spend your time setting up pretty spreadsheets and the other person spends their time completely ignoring everything that you set up? And then counseling might be something that helps with that. Is it that you just haven't learned how to say no to people and you need to work on establishing boundaries?
I think everybody needs to hear that. Is it that you have not what?
Learned that no is a complete sentence and you are free to use it. And realize that there are other ways to help people besides throwing money at their problems. I think really just getting to that root of what the stress is would help determine the cure. I know for me, one of the things is dealing with anxiety. Now, I balance my checkbook every day. It used to be a thing where I try to do it weekly or try to do it every other week to get ready for my money meetings with my husband. But sitting there and trying to comb back through weeks worth of transactions, figure out who spent what where, it was just too much. So now literally every morning, since I started healing this whole money thing at my desk at work, the habit of keeping it going continues at my desk at work. So every morning when I pull everything up before I check an email, I just log into my bank account. Usually it's just 3 or 4 transactions then that I check back, everything's in order, and then I can get on with my day without having to worry or wonder about my money during the day.
And I will piggyback. I think I'm saying this pretty much the same thing, get to the root. But, you know, I feel like when we're stressed about something, it's because we have not really flushed it out, right? And we're stressed about money. There's not enough, but we don't know what is the actual thing. We know how it feels. It's not enough. It's not enough. How much? You know, like, where is the gap? What's missing? But just, if you have to get a partner, a friend, if you have to invite somebody over with wine and chocolate, we have to start somewhere. We have to face it. We have to ask for help and face it and kind of begin to dig through the thing, kind of see where see what's missing, because most of us know there's not enough. Most of us don't know how much we're missing, right? So that could, like Gail said, when we know the root or more detail, that can inform our decisions. That can inform our plan to alleviate the stress. Again, if it's not enough, which is that's a lot for a lot of people, it could be that it's time to change careers. It's time to upgrade the career. It's time to go ahead and do that certification we've been putting off. Maybe it's time to downsize, but until we really, first and foremost, dig it out, face it, phone a friend, bring in wine and chocolate, whatever it takes to start, you know, really peeling back the layers to see what's really happening here. But I find that most of the time we're experiencing it, but we don't really know what it is definitively. Mm-hmm. So starting there, I'll definitely say.
You two ladies, this is so good because, again, it goes back to number one, that awareness, right? Like, between getting to the root, putting a name on it, and really addressing what the stress is, that's what's going to drive the behaviors. That's what's going to drive the why. But you cannot fix what you don't face. And I know you've heard me say that millions of times, and I'm going to keep saying it, because even when it comes to our money, we have to be willing to have the conversations, to open up the bills, to look at our bank account, to take the time to go through the statements, and then to ask for help. Because I know, although cash flow is a pillar within, you know, my coaching program and something that I'm adamant about, I'm not an expert. So your girl got help. You know what I mean? Like, it's not my ministry. I'm laughing too, because Gail, as you were talking about getting to the root, I was the one, you can ask Mr. Rohn, who was making the pretty spreadsheets and flow charts and diagrams. Like, so if we put this here and we do this there, and he like, so I don't even understand what I'm looking at. What you want? Just handle it. What? So understanding, again, you know, what are your triggers? Being able to look at everything and then asking for help. I think that this has just been such an amazing conversation, and I'm so grateful for all of the tips and the things that you ladies have contributed. And Emily, yes, said that you must have the courage to face it and give yourself grace to keep going to fix it. And the resistance is real. Yeah, you have to be able to do all of those things.
Yes,
definitely.
The monster under the bed is a whole lot bigger before you turn on the lights, right? And so sometimes you have all these things coming in the mail. You have all these phone calls coming. I know what it's like to be in that place.
Right.
Like mail in a box over there that I won't touch, that I won't open. And then when I took the time, I mean, you know, I had to pour a glass of wine or something, sit down with it.
And get in the chocolate, exactly.
Take the time to open it up. Lots of it is just repeat letters about the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Listen, there was a time where I definitely had a bucket of mail, and I was terrified. I was so anxious about opening it up because I didn't want to face it. And it was so, like you said, it was literally repeats of the same things. And I'll add to that if you open it sooner, there are things that you can do before it hits collections, you know, before, you know, it gets into a bigger problem. So really being able to, like you said, face that monster under the bed by turning on the light is going to help you in the long run, not just to manage your stress, but to manage your overall financial goals and to really put a plan together. And I know both of you ladies have talked about that. And Emily is also a money coach as well, who's also been on the podcast. So the three, I took, my Flow Friday cash tip from all three of you guys, because you said it the same way or different ways, and it's the same thing, is to put a plan together for your money. But you can't really do that if you're not aware of what's going on with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we're at like 45 minutes, and so I want to be mindful of everybody's Friday and just really have you guys talk about how people can get in contact with you if they need some help managing the money and the stress that comes along with it. And I'm going to put all of it into the replay as well, but just go ahead, because I'm sure somebody on here needs your help.
I am Ask Gail Rice on Instagram and Facebook, most accessible there. Also, my background is in banking. And so when I talk about the first step used to be to pull people's credit reports and dive right in, some of that comes from banking, because when you go to apply for something, we get real intimate real fast. Like it's, hey, how you doing? Okay, let me know all your business right up front. And no time. We're not going to dinner or nothing first.
No
okay?
on the banking.
Right. And so from that career in mortgage lending, I'm now coaching women to be confident as they approach the home buying process. So you can look up the Confident Home Buyers group on Facebook, and you can find me there. I'm going live there every Thursday, giving insights and tips about the process. And it's really just a place where women can come. It's a total no judgment zone. Ask any questions that you have. And really just kind of bounce things off of each other is the point where I'm hoping it gets to. But I'm there to answer questions and just help people get to the point that when it's their time to sit down with a lender and talk mortgage, they're going in knowing what they want, what they qualify for, and how to make it all work for them, instead of approaching and sitting down and saying, what can you give me? So that's what we're doing in the Confident Home Buyers group.
Nice. And you can find me on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn as Rhonda on a Mission. That's RHONDA, on a mission. And on Instagram, if you'll click the link in the bio, you can get my my course on 5 Secrets to a 700 Credit Score. It's actually the same things I use to pull myself up after I lost it all, foreclosure, bankruptcy, all the yuckies, back to a 800 plus.
I'm through with that 800.
And it's not just about the credit. I'm a financial personal development coach because I have understood on the journey that it's not just about the money. That's 100% what I do. Really working with the person to help them build up their confidence, kind of rebuild themselves financially, rebuild their mindset, rebuild their heart set for the journey. So that's a lot of what you'll get in that course. So it's not just about, the nuts and bolts about credit, but it's really about getting you to that 800 plus you.
Ladies, thank you so very much. And Gail, I know I posted your freebie in the Flow and Flourish community. So if you are listening to this or you're watching it and you are catching the replay and you're not part of the Flow and Flourish community, make sure that you head over there today, right now, so that you can get access to that. And then Coach Rhonda, I'm also going to post yours tomorrow. So that freebie, the link to get to that freebie, because I think everybody in here, if they don't already have an 800 plus credit score, they would love to learn how to do that. So thank you for sharing that. And again, we've gotten so much feedback. This has been such a great conversation. I appreciate everything that you ladies do to bring awareness to the financial aspect, to have the financial literacy, to help us to face the things that we're afraid of so that we can fix it and we can build, generational wealth and legacy, and really to get through some of those mindset shifts that we need to have in order for us to be able to flow and flourish in every parts of our lives. So thank you again, and I hope everybody has a great weekend. Again, make sure you join the Flow and Flourish community. And if you are looking for help on managing your capacity, number one, check out my website and go take your free capacity calculator that's going to really tell you kind of what's on your plate and help you realize what may need to come off. And also, go ahead and book your free discovery call with me with that too, so we can talk about how to help you take your next best step as you learn how to manage your capacity so that you can flow and flourish in every single part of your lives. Have a great weekend. Thank you.